Hi there, and this is the last of the videos for the Divergent CRM. We're looking at Experience Africa, the systems needed for it. We're looking at long-term predictions, and we're looking at tutorials and the tutorial game. Okay, so Experience Africa. Before we start, let's read through some notes I created. Started in 2009, but the first website was buggy, the CMS. We had to scrap it and start again. In 2013, it was suggested as a lost leader in American Butterfly, Book 4, and the project was restarted in 2015 as a non-profit. The idea was to first create a string of 16 non-profits that would take on websites and contribute half of their turnover to conservation. From American Butterfly Free, considering supersymmetry, the contributions made will see the strongest and the weakest companies' fortunes shared, and we'll show an example of that in a macro example in a little while. When a client books, they can choose a cause, be it rhino, wild dog, or cheetah. Experience Africa can become a blog authority as it blogs about saving the rhinos, cheetahs, and wild dogs. As such, content marketing becomes the main strategy for the project. However, it was discovered that one can get Google grants of up to $10,000 a month for non-profits. That would be very handy indeed. The company would mainly be successful, however, due to its systems. Firstly, the Safari award system, but essential was the CMS system, so Safari's entered their own data into our database, including logistics on near and far, logistics on how to get to other safaris and what attractions, if they had air balloons or all sorts of things, all listed so as the clients could choose. Basically putting into the CMS what a knowledgeable travel agent would know, like the most knowledgeable travel agent. Okay, October 2015, started to create the system by uploading spreadsheets into the database. However, this was not a good method. It was better to make a good CMS and add the data in direct. This indeed was the start of CMS logic and magic menus. In mid-2015, we had to stop work due to the Cape Town Luxury Villas change of management, which meant we diverted all resources into Cape Villas and Cape Town Luxury Villas. And in retrospect, this was a good thing, as we really needed a strong CRM system in place before we started Safari bookings. However, we will be registering the parent charity of Experience Africa, the Sienna Foundation, in the summer of 2016, and will continue to work after that. Let's have a look at Experience Africa as it is now. So here's just American Butterfly. As you see in part 4, it suggests we create Experience Africa as a loss leader. This was 2013, and in 2015, and this is all that we're doing now, the Villa Secrets marketing and software framework, and that will be the basis of what becomes Experience Africa. There is a good video all about Experience Africa and its marketing strategies and a lot of other good information. I'll provide the link. And here, let's just go to the home page quickly. Just skip through the first few slides. It's going to play some music, I think. So stop that. Okay, so here's the idea. It's a rather ingenious not-for-profit travel service. When a client books, 10 to 20% of the booking will be donated to conservation. Clients can choose their causes, rhino, elephant, or cheetah, and now we're including the wild dog. And we have a quote. If one goes down, we can see the top 10. The top 10 has now become much more. There's a lot more work into this top 10 than we originally had. Not that there wasn't a lot of work in the original one. It was just the original one. This one had 8 South African safaris out of the top 10, and that was not a good representation. Here's a bit of CMS. This is the idea for a CMS for a travel company. and we go to the travel company and we ask them if they want to add their personal opinions to, you know, how many hippos are, how likely is it to see a hippo in 2 days in the Sabi Sands? And they might say 100%, or they might say 200%. 200% is equal to there's an abundance of hippo. Okay, let's have a look at some other CMS. This is a CMS to choose which organizations get rewarded, and we've got rhino, cheetah and wild dog, various different locations, and we can see we're given points to different factors, i.e. how endangered are they in Africa, the financial efficiency of the organization, their effectiveness, is there a small local population of the animal, i.e. it's dwindling, what's the likelihood of extinction, what's the need of funding, and PR benefit and alliance benefit. That adds up to a certain amount of points, and this is the beginning of a much larger CMS using CMS logic that will work with each individual organization in their area, trying to get stats on, you know, how many rhino are born that year, how many have died, etc, 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 how well is everybody doing. Okay, let's have another look. What have we got here? This is the idea for you know, if you're going to have a product, you want your product to be the best. And in the case of a safari tour company, given that we would have the Competence CRM and Owner's Suite, so as all the technical things and everything was fine in terms of service, it really comes down to what you're offering. And I've looked at many safari sites and I've looked at many awards, and I thought it's best to have the safaris in order of location, i.e. the best safari in Tanzania in the Serengeti comes first, the best one in Sabi Sands comes second, third, fourth, Namibia, Kenya. Each safari will get points. Here we can see in Condé Nast Traveller Awards 2014, Londolozi was first, Singita was second, and because of that, Londolozi gets 100 points and Singita gets 95. Once we've gone through all the different, about 10 different tour operators and about 8 different sources such as Condé Nast, for all the different locations we'll have probably 1,000, maybe 1,500 different pages of this, and each one will have a score, and the safaris that get the highest score across all the different sources will become our number ones and number twos. And you know, we're making websites such as African Safari Awards, safariawards.org, top 10 safaris. Okay, there's a lot more to it. Watch the video. I'm just really going to focus on the stuff that's relevant to the Divergent CRM. Here we can see a large CRM that we need to build. Okay, per location. First of all, what's near to it? If you go to the Serengeti, immediately it'll pop up and say you can get to the Masai Mara, or you can get to the Ngorongoro crater. Really, they're close. Then there's Lake Malara, and then there's Kenya. You know, so as each location has all the places that it's near. Here's the rankings from various travel resources. And here we can see how many elephant, giraffe, hippo. There's a lot of different animals. And at the moment, this has all come from 2 different sources. However, we'll be presenting our CMS to all of the. This row is for Serengeti. We will be. Let me check that. Is it Serengeti? Yeah, this is for the Serengeti. We'll be checking, instead of just with 2 sources, we'll be looking at maybe 40, 50 different safaris in the Serengeti, asking them all their opinion on how many animals there are. What's the likelihood? Sorry, it's not how many animals there are, it's when you're on a safari, what's the likelihood of seeing this particular animal within 2 days? Presuming one goes there for 2 days. I.e., in 2 days, you've got a 33% chance of seeing a leopard. And, you know, different safari lodges will have different statistics. But overall, building up, building up, building up, making us the real authority on the Serengeti and indeed all the other locations. As well as the animals that we can see. We're also looking for what's the best month to go. You know, asking many different people. Again, this is from 2 different sources so far. The more sources we have, the more accurate our information will be. And of course, customers can feedback to us as well, telling us if there's anything wrong with what we've done, or if it's more abundant. We're going to make the CMS really fun, and we're going to see how we make CMSs fun in the game tutorial in 15 minutes time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think we've looked at Experience Africa now, and we're going to move on to the second section of this video, which is financial predictions from the CRM. Okay, built upon a financial system free from human error. This was the original must have in our system, was free from human error, and our download spreadsheet system is pretty close to it. The only way, well, there is no human error. The only error, it's still prone to fraud if someone changes the figures. However, we will be asking people when they download and upload the spreadsheets to take a screenshot of the bank balance. So that makes that fraud a lot harder. And of course, the spreadsheet system is phase 1, working with Barclays.net or another instant provider is phase 2, at which point we have a human error free system. Okay, projections will be made as a product of previous sales data. Now let's have a look at this spreadsheet again. We saw this earlier. This is how I want to see the inquiries per month, per week, per day, 18th, 19th, 20, appearing. So one can look down and see there's 5 inquiries on that day, and they all made a certain amount. And we got how we're doing this differently to what I've seen other CRMs doing is by having different factors, not just one. I think with the CRM, generally the salesperson changes his statistic, daily to make sure that funnel is accurate. However, with Villa agents with 40, 50, 60, 70 inquiries on the go, they're not going to be going to each inquiry and changing it each day. That's simply not going to happen, and that'd be a lot of work for them. So we need to put automated rules, and what the system can do is automatically assess an inquiry, i.e. if an inquiry made in January was for Christmas and New Year and it was for the right time period, ergo over 14 days, and the budget was okay, there's a 75% chance of that happening. If the budget was awesome, there's a higher chance. However, that's the chance of the that's the sort of the availability stat. It's good availability. Yes, we can fill this villa. We've got a 75% chance, but that simply doesn't work because you're not factoring in that client may be talking to 3 other different agencies, and you have a 1 in 4 shot of converting. So what we do over time is we work out how many from the stats that we originally put in, how much did we actually make. So this week we actually made, I think, 52,000 rands. I think it was a little bit higher. So one changes this here, and that is a divider of, once you have a booking, how many of those bookings end up as conversions. And the more data we go, the longer this is running, we're going to add more rules, such as, for instance, just because this inquiry here, which was the biggest one, didn't convert in that week, it doesn't mean it's a dead inquiry. So this money here still should be in the funnel somewhere. So there's a lot of tweaking to this, but over time we're going to make rules so as we really get quite a good estimate of how much money one's likely to make in the following month based on the bookings that have come in. Okay. Now, this is practical and doable. We're doing it right now, and I'm just going to really quickly take you through some of the research that we've done into creating long-term predictions. We looked into chaos theory. If we can just have a quick look at the American Butterfly homepage, you can see it mentions the butterfly effect. And really that was a nice way of saying chaos theory, albeit there is a chapter called the entangled butterfly, and we can see here how I started to theorize a cubed grid around the butterfly and every single flap being measured, although that takes us straight into quantum mechanics, which is interesting because it shows that quantum mechanics can mix with chaos theory. We can see here it was an idea, because chaos theory, this was real amateur stuff. This was the first thing. It was just like thinking about it, consciousness experiment, like Einstein does. Not suggesting one is like Einstein, just saying one does an Einstein-like consciousness experiment. And one of the things it said, you can't change the weather, you can't predict the weather. Lorenz, the chaos theory came about from Lorenz was doing a weather experiment, and he ran the system, but he didn't put in the last couple of decimal points, and because of that, it completely changed the predictions for the weather. Therefore, unless you have completely accurate data, which you can't have with rounding errors, you can never predict the weather. But one could cheat, i.e., you can change the weather by changing Africa if you had enough money. Just simply by building solar-run desalination plants and turning the whole of Africa back into its pre-Roman state of fertility. Therefore, the weather patterns would change due to the amount of what's the word when the plants make oxygen? Anyway, you know what I mean. It was a cheat. It was for fun. Where am I going next? Okay, let's go here, and to get around the the riddle of rounding errors, considered making a system that was based in cubes. So one cube went into 8, that cube went into 64, and that it went into 512. And because of that structure, you can't get rounding errors. This led to, sorry, I've got pages all over the place, to this, which is the pressure of profit financial investment principle, which we, if we think of this simply as villa franchises, that after a certain point, all the money they make gets put into making a new franchise. And you can see, you start off slowly, the new franchise gets made. But as you get further, you've got the first and second franchise now both contributing to the third, and here you've got the first, second, and third all contributing to the fourth. It snowballs, and eventually you get what we call the boat. And just to note, this was to do with that principle of keeping everything in boxes, because this box here is a box of something divisible by 8. Okay. So this was a bit of the inspiration for that. This should have come first, actually. It's the Mandelbrot fractal, which duplicates itself and is basically infinite. And the idea was to duplicate it, but we duplicated it in cubes. Okay. And after we did S-World, you can see here S-World within American Butterfly is simply summed up as: you may not predict what an individual may do, but you can put in motion things that will move the masses in a direction that's desired, thus shaping, if not predicting, the future. And the whole of American Butterfly leads towards this system that that eventually becomes more and more accurate as it's due to simulations being played out again and again and again, and the best route is chosen, and people even doing business in the future in the game, which will get to, actually, it's the next section. Here we can see a little bit of this. If we look at this here, what we see here, sworld.biz, this is basically the Divergent CRM. sworld VSN is the virtual network. We'll look at that shortly. And, you know, the CRM governs a lot of what's done in here. These are applications built on top of the CRM. And we can see all these nice little balloons. These are future simulations. Future simulations of the network that people play in a game. And that's getting us nicely to our next section. No, just before we go, we're going to look at the SUSY hierarchical spin equalizer, which is a bit of a mouthful. Here it is. And imagine we saw those, we saw the boats. Where is it? We saw here the creation of 16 different villa networks and how they're all flowing into each other, creating more and more profit. Here's a prediction of how much those villa networks might make. Actually, this is a macro exercise, but it's easier to explain in micro. So say, for instance, the first one made this amount, the second one this one, the third this, and over time they sort of make less and then they make more. You know, the reason for this would be the network within Cape Town. I.e., here you've got the Google ads, here you've got the Google ads, here you've got the Google ads, here you've got content marketing, international villa rental company, international villa rental company, international villa rental company, maybe apartments, you know. But overall, looking forwards, there's just no way to predict how well each one's going to do with any sort of accuracy. Unless you apply a rule from supersymmetry, which is the key ingredient to superstring theory, hence the book's name, the network on a string. So here we can see this is based in Florida. So, but just imagine this wasn't Florida. This was the different Cape Town networks, and you can see they're all making all sorts of different profits. However, if you twin the earnings of the, or sorry, not the earnings, the extra profit, the profit overflow, or in some cases, practically we're now saying the marketing budget, but in this case it's the POP profit. If you twin the strongest and the weakest within that string of 16, making back to our number 8 actual companies that are twinned, so the strongest and the weakest, always their profits are counted as one. And you can see here how that evens out the profitability, and one can make a much better prediction of how much the twinned network is going to make in comparison to the single networks. And that's, you know, advanced economic string theory. And we're reverse engineering this back into Experience Africa, because it's non-profit. No one's going to mind their profits being twinned, which is, you know, it's a good way to actually practically experiment with this. And, you know, we experiment with all types of physics, find something that works, and you know, run with it. You know, but the point is, there's a lot of thought gone into predicting the long-term predictions, a lot more than many people who have. Okay, so let's move on to tutorials. Let's read what I've put down here. Okay, tutorials and the tutorial game Villa Mogul. The magic menus and entire Divergent CRM is a tutorial for developers. What we're seeing, what you are now hearing, is a tutorial for the developers. So as the developers know the overall project and can let me know which parts are the simplest, which parts we can do, but it's just a roadmap. So, you know, tutorials are being done all the time. This is about the 50, 60th video I've done. before April 16, a concise set of tutorials for Villa Secrets and Cape Town Luxury Villas will be created in a very professional manner. Many about 90-second videos, so someone can find any one part they want to do and quickly reference it, but also edit it into movies. So as, for instance, we would have a tutorial on how to add entries into the general details section, and that would last a minute. And then we would have a minute-long tutorial of how to use the attributes, and so on and so on and so on. But there would also be a 15-minute video or a 7-minute video in this case, if we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different things. So there'd be an 8-minute video of them all together, and every little part of the CMS will become a tutorial. And it would be nice to make them like how Salesforce do with the nice intro and sort of filmy and the nice exits. Don't think we got time for that at the moment, but we probably do on the sort of the videos that are combined all together. In each section, we're going to show the tutorial. So here, just about here, there'll be a little button that says tutorial, and if one's in this section, there'll be a button here that says tutorial, so one can always very quickly look at it. The British Franchising Authority, I read through what was required. At the moment, I think they say there's only 5 web franchises that they've allowed to be a member, so it's becoming a web franchise would be a good thing, because you'd be one of only 6, and there's thousands of franchises that are non-web franchises. They were really keen on franchises that worked without the owner of the business having any part of that, and we've proved that with Cape Town Luxury Villas again twice now. And the tutorials, the British Franchising Association make mention of good tutorials, so we're really going to fire in on that point. However, we're not just doing tutorials for the sake of it. We've been thinking about doing tutorials for a long time. Let me just see. For systems, sorry, okay, I'm a bit lost here. For systems use, we'll be making tutorials from system use to sales techniques to the use of superstring theory within the network. We will create a vast bank of tutorial videos and recommend other videos, and in time create a game. Been thinking about creating this game since 2003. Here, sorry, yeah, look, just quickly, we'll be doing a tutorial for how to enter things in WordPress as well. This was what we did in 2002, and it was the first virtual tour of its like, it made in Flash, which was quick on the internet, ever made. And the idea was to turn this into a game using the graphics that we had, and the game was called Villa Mogul, and we can see it first mentioned, I believe, in S-World in the Facebook travel proposal that they never saw, and it's called the tutorial game. And we can see here immediately, these are the advances that it's a business management sim, and these are the advances that one gets after one's done quite well. You make a certain amount of money. You get to use the organizer CRM1. At the time, it was thought we would be using Act or Goldmine. I didn't think we would actually be programming our own, but 5 years later, here we are. Client gifts, psychology tests for staff, total email, and that's we've talked about email a lot during this series of videos. Website technologies, marketing technologies, networking technologies, financial technologies, all of which makes the game easier. And the idea is whoever's playing the game gets to learn our systems in a fun way. There was more on that. A year later, 2 years later, we'd got to, this game had come along quite a way, and it's now, actually in 2015, 5 years later, presented as S-World Virtual Network, the last part, where American Butterfly is leading to. And we can see here the S-World UCS, Universal Colonization Simulator game. That was Villa Mogul. It's now S-World UCS. However, we'll probably still go back and make Villa Mogul first. Okay, let's skip to American Butterfly, The Theory of Every Business. This is the first book, and you can find it on American Butterfly here in the footer at the moment. I'm going to look at it in Word because it's simpler. Okay, let's start with this. Just going to quickly show you the gameplay. Now we've got, you put in your business experience at the start and you hire staff and offices, etc. Hire staff with the skill sets that you don't have. You can see it's a tutorial game. We see those advances again that one gets during the game. These are stats on the profitability of companies. So you know, if one wants to work with a specific company, one has various stats on them. Their quantum efficiency, which is their efficiency when you count not only what they make, but how much money do they spend that stays in the network, i.e. a staff member living in a resort network will spend a lot of their money in the resort, so quite a lot of that staff's salary stays within the network. Or if a company's buying their supplies from another resort network company, it stays in again. And the idea is the higher your QE score, quantum economic score, the lower the black hole, the better it is. Sorry, that's macroeconomics. You know, pages like this during the game to see other people's, there's your staff. Here's a way of expanding and choosing which local companies to work with. Here's partners. And here's when one gets to expand internationally, make international franchises, which we're doing. Here's a choice of various franchises in Africa. And you can see here a development gets built, and one can have an office in the development or in the convention center, and one can purchase beach huts, beach villas with one's profits. And here we can see how S-World UCS got its name from the special projects. A lot of money is diverted into doing special projects, from planetary defense from asteroids to the poverty line to global cooling to Mission Glissé, which sees a big spaceship going out into the world, into the universe. It's a game. But, you know, okay, let's have another look at a different aspect of the game. I think it's here. Sorry, it's here. Actually, I should have done this one first, but never mind. Here we see its history, super intelligent engine for new network access, Sienna's world, S-World. Here we can see about the rendering, how we render the virtual world. And here we can start to see S-World VSN, the virtual social network. Where are you? Where your friends, where you are, where your friends are, where you'd like to go, and what you'd like to see. S-World VSN, shall we play? And one can follow their stars if they want, celebrities. And if a celebrity, you know, you could got different social networks you can use to follow them. However, what you can do with your celebrity, if they've got their tracking on, or your friends, here's your friends all over the world, if they've got their tracking on, which is basically just setting their GPS on their phone to accept our seeing where they are, one can dive into the rendered world where they are, i.e. the person here with the little halo, that's your friend speaking on a cell phone. Sorry, I mean, we could have got better pictures. This is from The Sims, and that's the technology we were thinking of using. You can also use it practically. Here's it being used to show a client a house or a villa. Looking through. Okay, so that's the virtual world, and just we can see here, just to end up, here we've got sworld.biz, which is basically the Divergent CRM, and here we've got a lot of stuff that's there's a lot of physics involved in this. This is the whole long-term prediction concept, and here we can see these Voyagers, Voyager 1, Voyager VSN. That's sending the virtual network out into the future about double our speed. So in a year's time, the virtual network will be 2 years' time. Now, inside of that virtual network, people do business in the future, and if the business goes well, when it comes to real time, that deal is done. When it's not done well, you forget it. And one gets, one would ask all their staff to play the game and to do different futures and network with different people, and where there's wins, you look at it. So it really is a good long-term prediction software system that is enwrapped into a fun game, and that's why it's a tutorial, because if you can get people playing the game and loving it, it becomes reality. Okay, thank you very much. This has been the Divergent CRM. See you in the next set of videos that will be relevant to this. Will be one on the virtual network in more detail, and one on resort development marketing. Goodbye.